We're at the Doghouse, 3rd in Chicago, city of Riverside. It is the home of the Huskies. Homecoming for John W. North, and they'll welcome in the Lancers from Lakeside and try to go 2-0 in league play. Good evening, Ghazal Hassan back with you. I'm also here with Jeff Gorham. And so, Jeff, the Inland Valley League's in a unique situation. You took the Inland Valley, you took the Sun Belt, you sprinkled in Notre Dame and Orange Vista, and you had all kinds of confusion. What's going on?
I'll tell you what, it's a super conference, as they like to call it. And it's Ivy, all these different conferences combined together. You have a top conference, a middle conference, and then another lower conference. All very good teams, but you got to separate it somehow, and this is how it ended up.
For the Huskies of John W. North, their offense, Jeff, has just started to get on track. Nick Satcher, we knew about him, the senior quarterback. He threw for 1,900 yards and 16 touchdowns last year, but this year he's been bolstered by the running game, led by Jarrell Calhoun, but also helped out by Venancio Micaele, the freshman running back who's been fantastic for the Huskies.
Thunder and lightning. I'm telling you what, Calhoun is the athletic back. We're going to see a lot of the young freshmen, and Satcher is a great, great quarterback. We saw him earlier in the quarterback. We saw him earlier in the season. I can't wait to see what he's doing now.
As far as the Lakeside Lancers, it's been a bit of a rough year for them. They've lost their last 5 games. They're battling some adversity, which starts with their head coach, but they're also battling a bevy of injuries. Luckily, though, for the Lancers, they do have some of their charges back for this evening's game.
And I'll tell you what, they can win on any given night. We've seen them beat Ramona High School. Ramona is a very good team, so you can never underestimate the Lancers.
Coming up next, it is the CIF on Riverside TV. The Huskies against the Lancers right after this. At top, John W. North High School. It is Inland Valley League matchup, the Huskies and the Lancers. Lakeside, one of the new teams, Jeff. They were in the old Sun Belt League when they combined everything into that Rain Cross Conference. Lakeside joined the Inland Valley League, and they started off, they were knocked off yesterday. They were knocked off last week by Orange Vista in their Inland League opener, 38-7. The Huskies, by contrast, went on the road and knocked off Paris 41-12.
Well, you know, we saw North the first game of the year versus Grand Terrace. It was the crosstown rivalry. It was kind of a sloppy game. They didn't get a chance to practice for a week due to the big fires that we had at the beginning of the year. But I'm excited to see this North team, and we know that Lakeside is capable of pulling a big upset by beating they won that game earlier in the year versus Ramona. So they are very, very capable, and this should be a very good ball game.
Homecoming tonight here for the Huskies, so a good crowd still kind of shuffling in. Let's look at the keys to the game tonight for both teams, for both North and for Lakeside. And, you know, the Huskies just want to keep it going. I talked to Dennis Brown, and one of the main keys he said is he really wants to balance that run with the pass between North and their, on their offensive side. The offensive coordinator for the Huskies is Mark Gonzalez, and Nick Satcher had a good year last year as a quarterback, but they had a little bit of an issue because North really, they couldn't run the ball. I think they averaged about 60 yards a game on the ground. This year it is very different the way they're running their offense with the 2 running backs, Calhoun and with Venancio. So they want to balance that pass and the run. They got over 250 yards last week on the ground. By contrast, Satcher threw for 140. But if they need to win a game, Nick Satcher, obviously they have the confidence in him to do it. One thing Dennis Brown talks about, and he is, along with Adrian Perez, he runs the special teams. He's felt the special teams coverage hasn't been very good. They've given the other team short fields. They've made some mistakes on special teams, and he wants to improve that. And then, you know this, you mentioned it in the open with regard to the learning curve. They missed some practices because of the fire situation early. Dennis Brown didn't actually get the job until July 20th. So he felt over the first 3 or 4 games, the coaches were still learning the players were still learning the coaches. You know, you've been in that situation. How tough is that when you kind of still got to learn your personnel while you're playing games?
Well, it's really tough, and it's tough on the players as well because, for one, a lot of these guys that are seniors, they've had 4 coaches in 4 years, basically. Mm-hmm. And as a coach, you want to come in and you want to make sure that the guys that are seniors, you have guys like Satcher, who's a very good quarterback. You don't want to mess up things too much or mess with the balance, I should say, that the guys you have. Satcher's a good player. Coach Brown is a very good coach, and he's going to run the system that is beneficial to his guys.
Lakeside comes in 1-5 on the year, Jeff. They won their opener, you mentioned, against Ramona. They played pretty well in that game. They won 17-14, and then they were just ravaged by injuries and their players, moving. Like literally, they had 2 players move out in the middle of the season. And so one of the things that Coach Ross Walter talked with him before the game is to keep the game in front of them. And what's happened in the past is, you fall behind 7-0. If you can keep it 7-0, you're okay. But then all of a sudden, when a 7-0 game becomes a 21-0 game, then all of a sudden you're trying to rally from behind, and that's not always easy.
No, and I'll tell you what, Coach Walter has the toughest job in the entire area. Come in mid-year as the head coach, and you really just got to keep things together. You want to make sure that they're mistake-free. You want to make sure that guys are doing exactly what they learned in the preseason. Usually when you have a new head coach, you have a tendency to do other things because you want to test that coach. He's doing a very good job. He just has to keep this crew together.
They've been challenged on offense. In the last 4 games, they've been shut out twice. They've scored 13 points over their last 4 games. You extend that back to last season, over their last 12 games in which they're 3-9, they've averaged less than 10 points a game. Now, that's a lot of reasons for that. That's got to change a little bit. They've had some injuries, particularly on the offensive line. They're going to line it up with whatever they can do now and try to generate some offense tonight against North.
Yeah, if you're averaging that little per game, it's tough to win in high school because you look at games, scores across the area. Teams are scoring 20, 30, 40, 50 points a game, but you've got, like you said, you've got to generate offense, and he's got to find dudes that can do that.
So North, you see, they won the toss. They deferred, which means Lakeside will get the ball to start the game. Our officiating crew tonight, Rich Robbins is our referee, Mike Bumberger, our umpire, Ray Triplett, the head linesman, Rob Robbins, the line judge, and Mark Chisholm, the back judge. You had a nice exchange with Ray Triplett before the game.
Yeah, I have known Ray Triplett my entire life. His son was a great basketball player at Arlington High School. It's always nice to see him, and I look forward to Friday nights to see Mr. Triplett.
I want to remind you that the Riverside Municipal Auditorium on Saturday, November 10th at 3485 Michigan Avenue will be the host to the Riverside Mariachi Festival. It's at a new location, but it's still the same fun mariachi festival, sponsored in part by Live Nation. Starts at noon, goes to 10 o'clock. I know you're going to be there, Jeff Gorham.
There's nothing I love more than a good mariachi festival.
And I'm sure there'll be food and festivities, and it'll be good, clean family fun in the city of Riverside.
Hey, I can salsa dance.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's one of the perks of my life. I'm kind of a cosmopolitan man.
You and Mrs. Gorham do the salsa dancing?
We do a little salsa. We took some dance lessons at Arthur Murray in our day before we got married, and I learned how to salsa.
Last key on the board for Lakeside is to play a mistake-free game. And that's an issue they've had with regard to turnovers. And the game they won against Ramona didn't turn the ball over. Didn't have a whole lot of production because they were kind of playing a lot of new players, but they were able to maintain mistake-free, and they won the game by a field goal. And Ramona has been pretty good. They didn't lose again until last night. They lost 14-3. That was a rough-and-tumble match against Hillcrest, Jeff.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that probably was a league championship game there. Hillcrest really played the 2 best teams in the league with Norte Vista and Ramona. Now it's just going to be a cakewalk for Hillcrest if they play well. But like you said, Lakeside beating Ramona, that's a big win. So they are capable of winning these big games.
And here come the Huskies in front of this homecoming crowd wearing the navy and maize here at John W. North Stadium, the doghouse, the home of the Huskies, ready to get underway. And they will kick the ball off to the Lancers of Lakeside. Lakeside is led by interim coach Ross Walters. Mark Chandler, who had been their coach since 2016, previously had been the coach at Elsinore before Tony Peralta took over. He's a 2-time cancer survivor, and we were talking to Coach Walter before the game, and Coach Chandler's had to step away prior to last week's game due to health reasons, and he'd been in remission for 3 years, so I was concerned that perhaps the cancer had come back. It wasn't that the cancer has come back, but as you may or may not know, cancer treatments can be very taxing on the body, and he's still obviously handling the medication with that, and so they thought it would be best for Coach Chandler to walk away, to step away for a little bit and take care of himself, and Coach Walter kind of insisted on that. But of course, Coach Chandler, he's an old football coach. He wants to keep understanding and knowing what's going on, but Coach Walter has taken the task of kind of trying to keep him, hey, Coach, go home, rest, don't worry about the team. It'll be here when you get back.
I'll tell you what, Coach Chandler, I bet he could be hanging out in the bleachers here.
Maybe.
With some binoculars checking out this team. But Coach Ross Walters, I knew him as a basketball coach, which is really funny. You know, he was a great basketball coach at Lakeside for 9 years. I coached his brother Ricky at Riverside Community College, and their father is the co-head coach at Elsinore with Pete Redinger.
Back deep to receive for Lakeside, Derek Andrews and Kevin Young. Kicking it off for John W. North, Taryn Shive, who's the sophomore kicker, has done a fantastic job this year on kickoffs and on kicks for points. Bouncing kickoff, fielded at about the 12-yard line. Picking it up for Lakeside is Jalen McGee, who's got some space to the outside. And he'll be stopped, gets over the 30-yard line, and that's where Lakeside will tee it up.
Well, you know, we did see North earlier this season, the first game, and I'll tell you, I'm excited to see the progression that they've taken, because Coach Brown, he's one of the best coaches around.
Watch Dakota Pope, the young sophomore quarterback who got into some varsity action last year as a freshman. Saleh Lamositelli, the fullback, is back for his first game. He's missed a couple of games with injuries. Isaac Solano, the left tackle, he's a two-way starter. Watch McGuire Cole, too, the big guy in the middle of that offensive line. And Cameron Johnson also has battled some injuries. He's a big play guy on both sides of the football for Elsinore. 1st and 10, line is the 26. The give, here's the little razzle-dazzle. Around to the outside is Gage Roberts, who's got some space. He cuts back near midfield and will finally be brought down near midfield about the 48-yard line. So some trickery early, and Roberts goes for 22 yards.
I love tricking the first play of the game, kind of gets momentum going, gets the team hyped up. Here it is, nice little pitch and
McGee
reverse.
Pitches it off to Roberts, who's got a little bit of space, and nice cutback there. Avoids the tackle by Alonzo Elliott, one of the starters for John W. North. Mark it at the 49. 23-yard run, 1st and 10 for Lakeside. Running that spread, here's McGee. McGee, between the tackles, squeezes up, second level. He's got a first down and more, taken down at the 35-yard line. That's 15 more yards for Jalen McGee.
So a big bolt of confidence here for the Lancers early. That North defensive line.
It's been one of their strengths. Naheem Hoxie, Michael McCullough, Ansel Turner, and Ruben Ruda up front for John W. North. Backers, Cody Valdez in the middle, flanked by Alonzo Elliott and Brandon Bove. 1st and 10 play. Line is the 35, and now the North defense will get in there and make the play. Hoxie gets up from the bottom of the pile along with McCullough.
Yeah, you see on that last play, North showed blitz. And a good stop there for the first time by the Huskies.
Roberts to the near side. Single back is McGee. Trips to the top of the screen. Cameron Johnson in the middle for Lakeside. 2nd and 10 from the 35 for the Lancers. McGee running right. Got a little bit of space. Gets up to about the 30-yard line.
So a good adjustment here by Coach Brown.
Rounding out the starters for North in the defensive backfield, the corners are two sophomores, Kevon Baptiste and Dylan Kurtz, but Hawkins and Calhoun will rotate in with them. Senior Sebastian Macias at safety and Taj Vickers at the strong safety. 3rd and 7, they mark to the 32. Split out to the bottom of your screen, Alfonso Romero for Lakeside. A little bit of confusion. And the handoff sweeping around to the right side, and he looks like he's going to be wrestling, trying to get the first down, but Hoxie there instead. Calhoun there to throw him down. Making the run for Lakeside, Joseph Montilpre.
Little double wing action there. Instead of running off tackle, and right off the tight end.
So Montilpre got more. He got 6 on the play. So they're going to go for it. The ball's to the 26-yard line, and it's a 4th and 1 situation for Lakeside. Double tight set. A little bit of confusion. Cam Johnson trying to sweep. He'll have the first down. They had a shot at him, and the ball comes loose, and it's going to be fallen on by Lakeside. I believe they whistled him down. But Cameron Johnson, the big tight end on the end around, was mixing it up with Brandon Bove, who brought him down, and then the ball squirted loose, but a first down for Lakeside.
Getting a lot of success there on that end around. They've run it twice here.
So Johnson with the first down to the 21. Nice drive that started at the 26-yard line of Lakeside. They are now to the north 21. First and 10 Lancers. McCullough brings him down after about 3 yards. That was Aaron McCullough making the tackle. 2 McCulloughs on the defense for North. Michael, the junior, and McCullough Aaron, the senior. Call it a gain of 4, 2nd and 6 to the North 17. Exclusively on the ground for the Lancers. McGee trying to get the edge, hurdles, is met in midair. But just short of the first down, but a good run. Coming up and making the hit for North, that was David Bolger.
Yeah, David Bolger got him mid-flight, ran into a wall. But once again, Lakeside going with that end around off the backside. Leaping there, big tackle. Problem is when you leave your feet, bad things can happen.
Close to the first down. It's 3rd and 1 for Lakeside. And here's Johnson again, and he'll get it again. Bove had a shot at him in the backfield, but Johnson just quick enough to get around him and gets the first down.
We got to be happy for Ross Walters right now. They're kind of controlling the clock. And right now they've marched pretty well here. So big surprise. Mistake-free football so far.
First and goal line is the 9. 10th play of the drive coming up. They've traversed 65 yards in those 10 plays. Pope to throw. End zone. Underneath to Roberts, who makes the catch at about the 5-yard line. He had a player up top too, but elected just go check down. About 5 yards on the play, maybe 4 yards. First completion for Dakota Pope.
Very conservative passing, which is fine. It keeps you, like I said, from making too many mistakes. A short pass.
Darian Streets there to make the play. Instead, Zarian with a Z. 2nd and goal. They mark to the 6. Alonzo Elliott got caught on the cadence, the talented young sophomore, a little bit too anxious, and that'll be half the distance. They'll take it to the 3-yard line. First penalty of the game on the Huskies. So inside the 4, it's 2nd and goal. Lakeside just moving on down the field. Ball on the turf, picked up by Pope. Pope's going to try to make something out of nothing. Around the corner he goes, and he's tackled there. Nice play ranging over Jarrell Calhoun. Will stop him maybe a yard, maybe back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, we're going to call Calhoun's name quite a bit tonight. In fact, the first game we saw him, he didn't play much running back. I don't know if he was injured, but we didn't see a lot of him, and he's been getting a lot of reps at.
Good job by Pope to make something out of nothing on that play. Good job by Calhoun, though, not allow the broken play to get to the end zone. 3rd and goal. Line is the 4. Pope, this is Johnson. That play has worked, but Johnson this time is stopped inside the 5. Hoxie gets up from the bottom.
You know, a lot of times they run off tackle. The Lancers haven't been running off tackle at all. They've been going outside exclusively off those tight ends.
So here we go, 4th and goal from the 3. Now, Lakeside does have a fairly decent field goal kicker, but they're going to try to punch it in. As I mentioned, they've only scored 13 points in the last 4 games. They lost last week to Orange Vista 38-7. Pope, misdirection, Johnson, touchdown Lakeside. That same play was denied a couple of plays earlier. They went right back to the well, and Johnson finds pay dirt for the Lancers.
Yeah, just a great way to run the ball here on that first series. Man, eating up a lot of clock, only 4 minutes left, and we've yet to see the Huskies on offense.
Andres Banda on to try the PAT, and a flag comes in on the play as he pumps it through for the PAT. They're going to wave it off and we'll have to probably re-kick it. Jeffrey, that drive, 12 plays, 74 yards for Lakeside, consumed, as you mentioned, 7 minutes and 21 seconds. So, again, if you're a team that's not playing well, you've lost 5 in a row, that's the perfect way to come on the road and start this one.
That is smart football. You know, we saw Riverside Poly do the same thing earlier in the year. They just time management, running very conservative offense, ground and pound. We might see a lot of that tonight here from the Lancers.
So Banda will have to back it off 5 yards. You saw the penalty. It was a false start against the Lancers. And now more movement. Hoxie jumping through for North. Let's see if that's 5 more yards or if they get the 5 yards back. This time again on Lakeside, so it'll back it off 10 yards. Reminiscent of the Hillcrest game we did against Notre Dame. Remember, young June Huang kicked a 40-yard PAT.
Right.
It was the longest kick of his career.
That's
Poor guy
right.
only got 1 point for it.
That's right.
This one will be about a 30-yard kick for the PAT, so close to NFL distance. No kick. They're going to call a 3rd penalty in a row. Wow.
Hey, he's getting a lot of practice, Gazal.
It's that muscle memorization, right? 1, 2, boom. Six nothing Lancers. On the board first here, it's homecoming at John W. North High School, but the Lancers, with an impressive drive, taking the ball 74 yards in 12 plays, chewing up over 7 minutes here in the first quarter. Banda's kick this time is going to be short. So the 15 additional yards hurt the Lancers, and the Huskies now will get the football trailing 6-0.
Well, one of those keys to the game, mistake-free football. Special teams, we've talked about it over and over and over at the last 7 weeks, is special teams. Special teams can cost ball games. We saw it last week with La Sierra versus Jurupa Valley. Jurupa Valley had 5 touchdowns, no extra points, and no field goals, and they ended up losing the ball game at the 1-foot line.
Interestingly enough, Dennis Brown mentioned that to me, that he didn't feel the special teams for North was up to snuff, and he blames himself. He's the special teams coach. He handles special teams. Jalen Hawkins back deep with Jaden Adams. Adams has been very dynamic for John W. North, as Banda will kick it away. So to reiterate, touchdown drive for the Lancers, 12 plays, 74 yards, took 7 minutes and 21 seconds, and culminated on Cameron Johnson with a 3-yard run for a touchdown. The kick by Andres Banda did not go after a couple of penalties. So 6-0 Lakeside.
So even though it was 7 minutes and 21 minutes on the drive, I think it was about 7 minutes and 21 seconds on the point after attempt.
That too. Oh, they don't run the clock on the PAT.
That's right.
So, but yeah, you're probably right. We timed it up in the booth here. Here's Banda. This is Adams, and it'll come out as a touchback. Well, offense for North. Now, they're going to rotate, so they have the 2 running backs, but when one of those backs is out, Hal Hendricks will slide up his tight end, or maybe Rayford will sit down, but that potent trio of wide receivers in that offensive line, 4 seniors and a sophomore. Godino, Flores, and Will Smith, both 3-year starters up front for the Huskies of John W. North. And taking a page out of John Brandam's book, the head coach at Hillcrest, Dennis Brown, is going to make Lakeside re-kick. They'll be 5 yards back. 6-0 Lakeside playing in the first quarter. Impressive 7-minute-plus drive by the Lancers to start it off. Of the 74 yards they accumulated, 70 came on the ground. Senior kicker, Andres Banda. He's back at the 20-yard line. It's a long approach to kick it away.
That's a sprint. I think I'd be out of breath running that far. It's a 15-yard sprint. I'd be tired.
It's like 17s in basketball, right?
Yes.
Now Hawkins will get a chance to return. Fumbles it, but regains it. He's got some space. And he'll be pulled down from behind.